Hello and welcome to another cEDH TV gameplay episode with me, Mons, and guested by Snuske and Pingmeister Pong. I'm once again trying Heliod, or not trying any longer, I guess. I've played this a bunch now. It's really fun, it's very narrowly focused, but it's a really fun thing to be narrowly focused on, so I enjoy it. I enjoy playing it, so I'm back with it.
I brought Kinnan once again.
I am still testing out the reanimator version of Kodama Silas, where we have a bunch of layered combos trying to do different things, either fast or move into the mid game and hope for the best.
Of all the turbo decks that wanna be super fast, Bluefarm is one of my favorite. And I like to play Bluefarm a little bit mid-range, like in the middle of between. And with that, let's look at opening hands. First 7, it's too slow, like 1 land and then 1 rock on CMC2. Can't keep this mulligan. Oh, I'm first in turn order. I would like to go second right now, because we could have Gemstone Caverns into like a CMC2 rock on turn 1. Can't do that. Like, this is a hand you could absolutely keep. Like, it would be great if we were not first, but just putting a land into play and passing turn cycle is kind of bad. Also, it's like a very limited of how many of these cards we can actually cast. The Gemstone Cavern will ultimately only tap for colors, so we're gonna mulligan this one. Now we're talking. I like this hand. Wait, we have a Dark Ritual Interpreter's Grasp turn 1 and a lot of mana here. We can't do Adnos because we're only sitting on like 1 black mana. But this is a great hand. It's actually lacking color. I think what we're gonna do here is use turn 1 Praetor's Grasp and take maybe a mana source here. So we can either turn to Kraum or turn to Tymna. I think we're gonna bottom Laviniasaur's Renegade. It's actually really good, but she's not like great versus the opponents we're going up against. Or wait a minute, she's actually amazing versus Pontus. What am I talking about? This might look strange, but we're gonna bottom Phantasmal Image. And I think we can steal a rock in Pontus' library. Oh, this is gonna be a very interesting opener. But yeah, I like this hand. This might be good. So let's look at what Pontus is keeping.
Okay, let's draw starting 7. We have a draw engine here. Now, that can one test the Fairy Mastermind, which I think would be pretty live with Bluefarm in the pod, but we have no interaction, don't really have any action. If we had like a 2-mana rock, maybe I keep this, but this I don't keep now. And no lands, no way to Arcane Signets, no keep, go to 6. This hand is very slow. It kind of has everything we want, but it's a turn 3 Heliod, a turn 4 flip, and no backup to get there. I don't think we can ever keep this. I think it's just too slow, but it has the things we want, but no, too bad. Go to 5. Yeah, this is fine. Turn 1 Esper Sentinel kind of saves this hand. We don't really have any action, so to say, except for the Esper Sentinel, which is great. But we do have like protection. This hand can actually sit back and interact and draw cards until we get the mana to cast and flip Heliod. And going to 4 is kind of risky, so this is a great hand for a 5, and I'll keep that. Go ahead, Ping.
Land, Soul Ring, protection, interaction, but I think we can do better. Second 7, nope, there's like no real mana acceleration, so we are gonna go down to 6. For a 6 we keep this. We have 3 pieces of mana, it should be good enough, and we will bottom Netzahal. This looks good. We have mana and we can always sink that mana into Kinnan in the worst case.
Let's have a look at the first 7. Turn 1 Dork into turn 2 Demonic Tutor. Could be for a fish, and then we just have lands for days to keep it going. Probably not what we're looking for. We have the Oboro to get into Tireless Provisioner as well, but no feasible way to get into Kodama, and no blue card for Force Negation either to protect early turns. I think this being first 7, I'm good to go to second 7. Early Spellseeker with nothing else really. We have Tyvar, which doesn't do much in this instance. We're pretty far away from Moloku. What can we do with Spellseeker? We can get like, if we drew a land, we can Spellseeker for Vamp on upkeep, go get a Heuristic Study. It might not be a terrible idea. Worst case, it comes down on turn 3, but we're going last. Probably not where we want to be. I think we want to find something a bit more consistent here, because otherwise it's just land, crypt, hold open Swan Song, and hope for good draws. Yeah, I'm good to go to 6. As a 6, this isn't terrible. It makes mana, and then we can just hope to draw into payoffs. But we are playing against Heliod with a bunch of wheels, so that's not a terrible plan. Yeah, I think this is what we want to keep, and we're gonna bottom the Emergent Zone and keep the consult just in case, and just have some mana.
Alrighty then, game on. We're gonna draw a card. That's good. Wait, there's a lot of really high CMC stuff in that deck. We're gonna do Badlands. We're gonna tap the Badlands for a Dark Ritual. With the free black, we're gonna cast a Praetor's Grasp targeting Pontus.
Wait, what? Okay.
Got it.
Sure.
Okay, Pontus. Do you have a Saurius Signet in your library?
Yes.
Now, of all the things I could take, I actually want the Azorius Signet.
Got it?
Sure.
I'm so confused.
So am I.
So I will take this Azorius Signet. Nice. Now, a lot of you might say that a Arcane Signet is much better. However, let's play Mana Crypt. I'm gonna cast this Mana Vault. And then I'm gonna tap the Mana Vault for 3 colorless, cast the Signet, and then activate Signet.
Lavinia? Oh my god, he's a Lavinia.
And then we're gonna do a turn 1 Lavinia. And the reason I took Azorius Signet is because Arcane Signet only gives me 1 pip, where Azorius Signet gives me 2. It's color fixing in a very big way. So turn 1 Lavinia, and then I have 1 card in my hand, and I pass.
So as you can see, I do have the Force here, which will be turned off by Lavinia. Mons is clearly winning here, and the Force won't be live anyways, so I could technically counter the Lavinia here. But I actually think like I'm kind of more favored in a game where Lavinia is still there. Losing the Force hurts, of course, but I like to use, my plan was to go Esper Sentinel, land Esper Sentinel anyways, so it doesn't really affect my turn 1. Turn 2 I was hoping to play land Arcane Signet, and that's not affected, and then I will hold up a Swan Song for like a couple of turns. So I'm not that hurt by Lavinia. It hurts a bit that I can't wheel. I have 3 wheels I can cast before turn like 5. The rest of them are can't be cast basically. But yeah, I'm passing on this even though I could technically Force, and the Force is gone for a while. So yeah, I still think it's right to pass on it. Go to my turn. Land for turn will be a Erd Mesa. I will fetch, finding a Tundra, tap it to cast a Esper Sentinel, and pass turn.
I will draw. Play a Flooded Strand, search at a drop island, Elves go.
We're going to play this tropical island, and then we're going to tap 1 for a Soul Ring. Pass the turn.
Heads, I take damage from the Crypt. That is tails, no damage, but I take damage from the Mana Vault too. Untap and draw a card. I'm gonna play this Ancient Tomb. Cast Tymna. Then I would like to go to combat against the other black player, I guess, Snuske, coming at you for 2.
Sure.
I will pay 1 life with Tymna and draw a card, and then I pass.
Move to my turn. Land for turn would be a Sea of Clouds. I'll tap 2 for a Arcane Signet. Pass my turn.
Play an island. Okay, since the game is a bit slow right now, I think we can like tap out for mana here instead of holding up the offer, because the Lavinia is really holding things down for now. Okay, so I play this Moon Snap prototype. It's a worse Springleaf Jump. You may draw off the Esper.
Draw a card. Cast a Tireless Provisioner. I would like to play a Bloodstained Mire. Trigger Tireless Provisioner. I'll make a treasure. I would like to fetch Underground Sea. Tireless Provisioner once again. Make another treasure. We're going to tap the Underground Sea and sack one of the treasures and cast a Talisman of Dominance. Pass the turn.
Heads, I take damage from the Crypt. At heads, I take 3 damage. I'm gonna cast Kraum. Then I'm gonna go to combat. Tymna is going at Pontus. Lavinia is going at Kinnan. And Kraum is going at Snuske. Placing them in the current direction where they're going.
No blocks, take 2.
And draw 3 cards with Tymna. Then I'm gonna play this Mana Confluence. And I'm gonna pass the turn here.
Go to my turn. Really happy about that top deck. Play an island. Tap 3 to cast a Ristic Study.
I'm actually going to respond with a Swan Song on that.
Trigger Esper.
I can't pay for Esper Sentinel.
I draw. I'll Swan Song the Swan Song.
I'm drawing a card with Kraum. So I have a Force of Will in my hand and I can actually interact with that, stopping this thing. However, if I do that, I'm literally tapping out here. And that's a very big risk, because we're passing the turn cycle early in the game where people are still like on the threatening point. And this isn't like threatening the win yet. Ristic Study is really strong, but I think that forcing this is probably the wrong choice. Swan Song, I felt that was correct, but I shouldn't overdo it.
Okay, so my Swan Song will counter Mons' Swan Song, and he'll get the Swan. Ristic Study resolves, and I will pass the turn.
There's a Ristic Study out. Our Court of Calling, which usually grabs Seedborn Muse. A win condition is offline due to Lavinia, but I think if we cast Chromox, offer it, we can get up there to Astral Dragon, copying the Ristic Study, but this is gonna give Pontus a lot of cards. Exotic or card. So I think we go with this line here, because that's our best game plan. I could pay for Ristic twice, but honestly I don't think we do, because Mons is clearly ahead. We get to draw a lot of cards if it resolves with 2 Ristics, so I'd rather keep mana up. Alrighty, I will cast a Chromox. In response to both triggers, I will offer it.
I will draw draw a card from Kraum.
Should do. 8, I will cast an Astral Dragon. So Astral Dragon gives 2 copies of a non-creature permanent when it ETBs, and since there's a Rhystic Study in play and I'm somewhat behind because I don't really have permanent Kinnan activations, this makes a lot of sense here, copying Rhystic Study, because nobody's gonna pay 2 in order for me to not draw cards, I think, and this might throw me very far in the game.
That's incredibly good. I am going to respond with a Force of Will, pitching a Dispel, dropping this Simian Spirit Guide to prevent Pontus from drawing a card, using the Spirit Guide to pay for your Rhystic Study. Can't pay for Esper Sentinel though.
Oh no, it's fine. Pass the turn.
Crisis averted. I will untap and draw for turn. Oh god.
If you put Rhystic Study in play, I'm gonna cry.
I'm gonna cast a Reanimate targeting Astral Dragon.
Oh no!
I will pay for both Rhystic Study and Esper Sentinel.
I feel so bad.
I just top decked this, by the way.
You got it.
I pass.
Oh yeah, we're taking 2 Rhystic Study. Thanks, Mons.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna move to combat. I'm gonna swing the Tireless Provisioner over at Pontus.
No blocks, take 3.
You pass my turn.
I will go to my turn, I will untap, I will take a damage from Mana Vault, and I take 3 damage from the Mana Crypt. I'm gonna go to combat. Someone just acquired blockers, that's annoying. So someone else is gonna take bleeding, I guess. So you have enough flyers to chunk block this forever. So we're gonna send Rom at Pontus, Tymna at Kinnan, and these 2 will stay back as defenders.
No blocks, take 4.
I will net ±0 on Tymna and draw 2 cards. I'm gonna play this Cavern of Souls. I'm gonna say humans. I'm gonna cast a Ranger Captain of Eos. I am going to pay for all of this. I will pay for all 3 Rhystic Studies. ETB search. I'm gonna find an Esper Sentinel and cast that and use the last remaining mana to pay for one of Snuske's evil Rhystic Studies. And then I will pass the turn.
And in upkeep, we have a kind of interesting scenario here. So the Lavinia is kind of starting to not help us anymore. We suddenly don't have a land drop somehow after drawing this many cards. No lands. Wow. But unless I'm miscounting, which I don't think I am, I can cast Lightning Tutor here, find the Yule Dotus, draw it for turn, cast Heliod, and flip it. So we don't have a payoff for that in hand currently, but we have 2 draw engines in play, and we do have the defense grid, which is kind of good if because Nusk is drawing a lot here. Mons probably as well, so it's very live with all the draw engines in play. The only problem is we have to deal with the Lavinia, and we have the snap to do that, so it's fine. It's a bit risky, but I think it's the best play for us, so I'm gonna try to do that. It's not the best play. I think there's some risk involved here. Getting rid of the Lavinia is kind of scary because we do unlock people a bit, but I think it's the strongest play I can do. In my upkeep, I will try to snap the Lavinia.
I have sadly no response to this, so Lavinia will be snapped back to my hand.
So I'll untap 2 lands. Then still in upkeep, I would like to cast a Enlightened Tutor.
I will draw from Kraum.
E-Tutor will resolve. I'll find a Yule Lotus. I would then like to move to my draw step. Draw that card for turn. Cast Yule Lotus. You may draw. I'll crack it to cast my commander. I'd like to tap 2 for this Grim Monolith. You may draw.
I would like to cast Mystic Subdual targeting Heliod.
That's hilarious, actually.
This is Mystic Subdual. This is a card that more people should be playing, but especially in Kodama, when you're playing blue, it's a flash permanent for 2 CMC that shuts down any creature's activated abilities. You may both draw your cards.
No response. Heliod is just a worthless dude now. After that, I'll play this flip land as a blue land and then pass the turn.
Untap, upkeep, draw. Okay, so since Lavinia is gone, our Court of Calling is finally online. Usually it grabs Seedborn Muse because that is just a win con, but I think at this point in the game and with all the draw engines going, Consecrated Sphinx is obviously better because there's Kraum, there's Rhystic Studies, there's a Tymna, Esper Sentinels. People are drawing a ton of cards. I want to draw cards as well. Tap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Court of Calling, X equaling 6. You may draw.
I will pass on it.
Me too.
I will find a Consecrated Sphinx. this will be all.
I would like to move to my turn. I'm going to crack this treasure, tap some mana, and cast Kodama. We're playing this Misty Rainforest. We have a Tireless Provisioner trigger and a Kodama trigger. I would like to resolve the Tireless Provisioner trigger first. I will make a treasure token, which will trigger Kodama. With the trigger, I would like to put down a Gaia's Cradle. Trigger Tireless Provisioner. I'd like to make another treasure token.
Wait, you get to put into play basically every land you have in your hand, right?
That is correct.
Nice.
I'll make another treasure token, and I will put into play a Mana Confluence. Trigger again. I will put into play a Lionside Diamond. All right, so we have a bunch of options here, and if it wasn't for the Ranger Captain, it would be a lot easier. We have Eldritch Evolution into even Thoracle and Consult if you want, but I have a feeling the Ranger is going to be cracked as soon as I cast the Eldritch, and then we would want to get something else. The question is just, what are we getting at that point? If we get a Borrow into play, we have options. We can also make infinite mana if we go and get infinite mana and infinite 1/1s. If we go and find Meloku, that lets us cast Razaketh. All of those things kind of require Finale to resolve in the end to get that going. So we want to find a way to sneak past the Ranger Captain to get Emergence Zone, but there's no real way to do that. Best we can do is force exactly when the Ranger Captain is cracked by either using Otawara or Abrupt Decay, because then we can decide when it's supposed to be cracked, because we can use Eldritch Evolution to go to sack the Astral Dragon, get any creature in our deck, sadly not Razaketh because it's in our hand, and we can't get anything big enough to get the trigger. We can sack it off, get something else, reanimate it, and put Razaketh into play, which is interesting, but I still have a feeling that Ranger is going to be cracked at some point in that. But then we can use Endurance to get the Dance of the Dead into play, but we still need to find a way to empty our library at that point for Thassa's Oracle. It's a very tough situation. I would like to tap Gaia's Cradle for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana, and we are going to use 3 of it to cast an Eldritch Evolution, sacrificing Astral Dragon.
This is your second card this turn, so Kraum will draw a card.
Are you paying your taxes?
No.
I'll force pitching this intellectual offering.
I would like to cast a Pact of Negation, not paying taxes.
I pass.
I actually don't have more interactions, so I'll pass as well.
Pact is good with me.
Pact has resolved. Eldritch Evolution on the stack.
I'm passing on Eldritch.
Yes.
I would like to respond by fetching. Now we're getting a Bayou. Trigger ×2. Start off by making a treasure. I will put down a City of Brass, which will trigger Tireless Provisioner. I'll make another treasure, which will trigger again. I'll put down Otawara, which will trigger, give me another treasure. Cast Abrupt Decay, targeting Ranger Captain.
Don't sack it.
You guys think I shouldn't sack it? Then I believe in you. I'm not gonna sack it in case.
I would like to respond by tapping this, casting a Flusterstorm.
I'll draw.
I'll draw 2.
I pass on Fluster.
Yeah, Force of Will.
I will cast a Force of Negation, targeting the Force of Will.
I pass as well, sadly.
Mindbreak Trap, targeting all your spells, Martin.
The Mindbreak Trap is good with me. These cards are exiled.
Mons Esper, and I will cast a Noxious Revival, target my Force of Will, trigger all the heuristics, should be the only trigger.
No response from me.
Force of Will is gonna go on the top of my library. Esper Sentinel trigger, Mons. I draw 2, and then there's 2 heuristics from Martin.
Stack is officially cleared. I would like to cast this Lotus Petal. Put Watery Grave into play. Make a treasure. Cast a Demonic Tutor. Cast a Finthorn Elves. Kodama trigger. Put Oboro into play. Trigger Tireless Provisioner.
So this will generate infinite mana, right?
And food tokens.
I'll respond. Chain of Vapor on your Kodama.
I will draw a card because of Kraum.
I will draw 2.
I have 2 Heuristic Studies.
I'm not paying for either.
I will draw for the first one. Tap these 2, losing 2, and a treasure. Flash in this Opposition Agent.
Trigger heuristic. No response to Oppo, sadly.
I will cast a Force as soon as I find it in my hand. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Heuristic Studies.
I'm drawing for mine first.
I will draw 2.
Can I draw for mine?
Yes, sir.
I will draw 1.
I will draw 2.
I will draw 1.
I will draw 2.
Force of Will on the stack, targeting Oppo. That is fine. Exile this Culling Ritual to flash in an Endurance. You can draw.
I will draw.
I will draw 2. Pact.
Ristic studies.
You may draw, all of you.
I'm drawing a Ristic Study.
I will draw 2.
I will draw one.
I'm not looking forward to editing this.
Pack targeting endurance. That is totally fine. Still in response to Chain of Vapor. We'll tap the Oboro and the treasure, cast Shallow Grave. I'm not paying.
I'm drawing.
I'm drawing 2.
Still no response.
Force of negation.
Ristic studies.
Yes, all of you may draw.
I'm drawing.
I will decline my trigger.
Oh, is your library empty?
It's 10. I can take 1 wheel, but cannot take 2.
I will draw for my Ristic. I will draw again for my Ristic. Mind Break Trap.
Oh, wow.
Targeting Force of Negation and Chain of Vapor.
Triggeristic.
You can draw.
Am I drawing my first interaction spell this turn? I am not.
Where is the card? Okay, I will cast a Force of Vigor, exiling Elvish Mystic. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, I will target Mons Mana Crypt and Pontus Grim Monolith.
Triggeristic studies.
Go ahead.
I don't run interaction in this deck apparently.
I'm out of tricks.
Endurance will come back. I will put a land of any kind into play, and we got to the point now where we are being allowed to have Oboro, Kodama, and Tireless Provisioner in play with at least a trigger on the stack for Kodama. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend a mana to put the Oboro back in my hand, and then with the trigger still in the stack, we're going to use that trigger to put Oboro into play. That will trigger Tireless Provisioner to create a treasure, which will then let us tap Oboro to use that mana to bounce itself back to my hand, and the treasure tokens do create a Kodama trigger as well, which will continuously let me put Oboro into play over and over, creating infinite treasures and infinite food tokens if I wish to create infinite life as well. And in my hand I have Razaketh already. I do also have Thassa's Oracle and Consult and numerous other things or ways to win. The way I'm choosing to win, to not win with Thassa's Oracle in this deck right now, is that I'm going to tutor up a Meloku of some kind in some way with Razaketh. I'm going to put it into play, create infinite 1/1s, and cast a finale for 1 billion and attack my opponents.
You got it.
Good game.
Turns out my Astral Dragon is pretty good.
Apparently my interaction didn't want to get into my hand, so I couldn't help that war at all. And sadly Ping didn't help get me there, because I was also winning on my turn, of course. But yeah, good game.
I did destroy the dragon, and the dragon came back. Sad.
That was a very cool turn that ended up happening there, and I hope everyone here enjoyed that as well. Flash in Kodama turns out to be really good in spite of having everyone interact with you numerous times when you're trying to win. But that's the cool thing about this deck. If you're able to draw a bunch of cards and you have a bunch of pieces and Kodama in play already, the redundancy is just insane and you can just keep going.